playground. Whatever, he's a child. Now this is the story of it how my life got turned upside down. I wouldn't really stay right there. I'll tell you how I'm going to turn to Bel Air. Why didn't it finish? I don't want that though. Why have you done that?
No, thank you. Is what I
Then just say no thank you. Dude. Damn, I didn't know money comes out of his ears. God damn, that's so interesting. Taking money. Let's rope. No, god damn it, I don't want that. No, wrong one. No, god damn it. God damn it. Stop. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Yeah, I like watching the CP. It's cool. No. Why is it counting down? Oh, well, I don't care.
Hey guys, it's Jessie B. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the creepiest and weirdest grave sites and tombstones around the world. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about a specific grave site that has stairs down to the grave, and you'll find out
Isn't that
why.
like disrespectful?
Before I get started though, I just want to let you guys know that I've been spending the last couple weeks making some new handmade jewelry. So I'm gonna link that down below if you guys are interested in any of them, but I always try and make super weird and unique pieces that, like, when people see you wearing it, they're like, whoa, what is that? Where's that from? So if you guys are interested in any of these pieces, it is linked down below. And once again, thank you so much for all of your support. It honestly means the world to me, and I'm so glad that I can create things that you guys love and enjoy. It's really awesome. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into today's video. The first thing we're gonna be talking about is gravestones that only have the word specimen written on it. Now, I have briefly mentioned this in a video before, but I feel like I really need to expand. There are many gravestones in the Ohio asylum for the insane, but two stand out as a little more disturbing than the rest. Rather than containing a date or a name, it simply says specimens. So people weren't sure if that was like a last name. Was it people they experimented on with untested medication? Was it just body parts? I mean, there are so many theories that people have about this. And I mean, especially considering the horrible reputation of this insane asylum. The asylum was best known for its practice of lobotomy, but it was also known to have practiced hydrotherapy, electroshock, restraint, psychotropic drugs, many of which have been found to be harmful today. And it was really bizarre, the people that they were enlisting. Like, people that weren't even insane, they were putting them in this place. Like, here are some of the reasons you could be put in an insane asylum back then. Epilepsy, menopause, alcohol addiction, tuberculosis. Like, none of those really have anything to do with being insane. The burials began soon after the institution's opening, as there were deceased patients who were unclaimed by their families. And until 1943, a lot of the graves just had numbers, which is awful. The cemetery is also said to be haunted by shadowy people with strange lights. In one area, the grave's linear shapes form a circle, which is said to be a witch's meeting point. So this whole area just has really bad and like sad vibes. Next, we have the grave of Florence Irene Ford, and this is the grave that has the stairs. When Florence Irene died at the age of 10, her mother had a very strange request. She asked that her daughter's coffin be fitted with a small window with stairs leading down to the casket. Now, Florence was born on September 3rd of 1861, and apparently during her very short life, she was very afraid of thunderstorms. As soon as one rolled in, she'd run to her mother, Ellen, who would patiently comfort her until the storm passed. And then in 1871, at the age of 10, Florence died of what was called yellow fever. And her mother, who was obviously very, very distraught, couldn't imagine Florence being buried alone. She still wanted to comfort her during thunderstorms, even as she lay. A small window fitted at the head of her daughter's casket, and a narrow stairway built 6 feet down to the level of the window. Ellen had hinged metal trapdoors installed at the top of the stairs so she could shut them during storms, protecting her from the wind and rain as she sat by her daughter's coffin, reading or So this mother would literally, whenever there was a storm, would go to her daughter's grave, sit by the window in the staircase, sing, would talk to her, would comfort her. I mean, it's heartbreaking. The grave has changed very little since 1871, and on the gravestone his image blessed, and behind the gravestone lies the metal trapdoors, which could still be opened.
Have you ever been free to discover what you're capable of?
So, because her mother has passed, people will still go and do this in place of her mother. So yeah, really heartbreaking, but also like, I'm really intrigued by it. I've never heard of this in my life. Next, we have the tomb of Rufus E. Case. Mr. Case requested to be buried in his rocking chair and situated facing his home state of Louisiana. He was literally buried in a sitting position, which is something you never really hear. He is actually positioned next to his daughter's grave, but above ground in his rocking chair with his tomb around him. So he wasn't buried in a coffin, he was buried sitting in his rocking chair. Wow. Then
That's
we have
cool.
what's called the Turning Angel statue. On March 14th of 1908, a gas explosion in the basement of the Natchez Drug Company killed 5 young female employees. The youngest was only 12 years old. It caused the whole brick structure to collapse, and apparently the victims' tombstones are only marked with their last names. Their former employer was so distraught by the explosion that he paid for the women's burial spots and commissioned the stone angel to stand over their modest graves. The angel has since attracted a fair bit of attention to the historic Mississippi cemetery. It's now known as the Turning Angel statue because according to people, it will literally turn its head to look at the cars that are passing by, and this effect is said to be most notable at night, which is definitely pretty creepy. Like, all of the car's headlights will pass by the angel and see her light up in the dark, and her head will literally be turned to them, and it's not supposed to be. So yeah, once again, sad but pretty spooky stuff. And then lastly, we have a tombstone that says baby monster, and this is a tombstone where people don't think this baby might have been human. This mysterious gravestone could have something to do with the monster being the last name rather than a descriptor, but during this time the word monster describes someone or something with a severe deformity. So people also think that maybe this poor baby was deformed in some way and people were afraid of it, which is horrible. And even more disturbing is that this poor baby was never given a name. It literally just says baby monster. This was just a 5-month-old child, and it's really sad to see this. I mean, anytime I see any gravestone that doesn't have a name and just has like a number or like a saying like baby monster, it really upsets me. It's really sad that historically this was okay. Anyways though guys, those are all of the eerie but also sad gravestones and tombstones around the world that really baffle people and really attract a lot of attention. If there are any that I missed that are really interesting, definitely comment them down below. I could also make this into a series because there are so many, so give this video a thumbs up if you want me to continue talking about this. But yeah, don't forget, if you would like one of my new Etsy pieces, I have linked that down below. And don't forget that the strawberry shortcake video is up for members, and if you would like to become a member, all you have to do is press that join button. If you don't see it on your phone, you will definitely see it on a laptop or computer, and the next member video is coming out very soon. And yeah, I hope you guys just have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Compare car insurance, loans and service terms, fill your tab.
Hey guys, it's Jessie V, and in today's video I am so excited for it because I'm going to be telling you guys the most classic campfire horror stories ever told in the world. These particular campfire stories have been talked about for years and years, so a lot of you might have heard them before, and if you haven't, you're in for a treat. And the next time you're camping or you're around the campfire with your friends, you'll have a really good story to tell. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hear like campfire stories or see a campfire in general, I always think of the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was like one of my favorite shows growing up. There's just something so spooky about being out in the middle of the night, the stars above you, and a crackling campfire in front of you. It's spooky. I don't know why, but it's spooky. So as you watch this video today,
I don't know what I'm doing in life.
Pretend the fire is like right here in front of me. Just pretend, okay? Maybe I should just have like a gif of a fire like going in front of me this whole entire video. Could you imagine? Alright, before I get started though, I just want to show you guys some new jewelry pieces that I've been making. You guys know I'm so passionate about this and I'm always so excited to show you guys what I'm up to. I have made a bunch of fairy door necklaces. These are probably my most favorite things that I've done so far. I know I say that every single time. But the fairy door itself is just so magical. It comes with a key on the side and the actual key has a little diamond on it and the lock moves around and the doors even move around. It is so cool. And I also made a bunch of magical charm bracelets that have the same flowers on them. I also made a bunch of matching earrings. So if you would like a fairy door necklace or a charm bracelet, definitely go check out my Instagram called The Whimsy Wonders. It'll have all the links for you there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting what I love to do. I love you guys. And we also have a bunch of new Christmas stuff added to our website. Christmas ornaments, Christmas stockings. It is really magical over there too, link down below. Alright, let's get into some classic spooky campfire stories. Now, if you guys have any classic ones that I missed, definitely comment them down below. The first story I want to talk about is actually one that I heard a lot when I was growing up. I don't know if this one is like a classic one, but I heard this one a ton. It's called the Baby Carriage. It's about a woman who saw a creepy baby carriage on the side of the road as she was driving home from work. And there was absolutely no one around it. It was just sitting there on the side of the road by itself. She pulled over and walked over to it and saw that it had this blanket covering over the whole thing. So she slowly pulled it off to look inside the carriage and immediately her face went pale. She got back in her car and went home. Now that night she didn't eat, she didn't sleep, and every time her husband asked her what was wrong, she could never tell him. About a month later she packed her bags and left her home and no one ever saw her again. But she did leave behind one note for her husband to find. And what was creepy is that it was not in her handwriting and it read, "Whoever reads this note will be doomed to a cursed life unless they pass it on." So this woman was having horrible things happen to her and she could not tell her husband because if she did, the curse would move on to him. But I guess it came to a point where she was having too much of it and decided to leave the creepy note with her poor husband. That is so horrible. Actually, this story really reminds me of those creepy chain emails that people would get.
If you don't pass this on to 10 people, you'll see a creepy person on the top of your roof tonight.
Alright, this next one is a classic story that, oh my gosh, used to freak me out so much as a kid. It's called the red spot. And this is how it goes. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for several minutes on her left cheek, and then it went on its way. The next morning when she woke up, she saw that she had this red spot on her cheek. So she went to her mother and asked,
Mom, what is this red spot on my cheek?
Oh, that looks like a spider bite.
her mom said. And her mother told her it would go away on its own and not.
I say for all and everything that touches them should do the same. Wings Deluxe with Platinum has 5 diamond light coated blades and a 360-degree moisture for a smooth that lasts guaranteed.
To scratch it. Soon that little red spot started to grow and grow until it was a large boil on her cheek.
Look at it now.
She told her mom.
It's huge and red and ugly.
We'll have the doctor look at it.
Her mother said, trying to calm her down. But the thing is, the doctor couldn't see Ruth until the next day. So that night, Ruth decided to take a nice hot bath. As she soaked herself in the water, suddenly the boil on her face burst, and out poured a swarm of tiny little spiders all over her face. So that spider had laid eggs in her cheek, and now they were out in the bath and on her face. I remember hearing this story as a kid and being so grossed out, and I'm pretty sure it was originally from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but I remember going to sleep that night and like trying to cover my face with the blankets and with the pillow so that no spider would go over me. But isn't there actually a real fact that says you'll swallow at least 8 spiders in your entire lifetime while you're sleeping? Is that a real fact? I really hope it's not, because I probably swallow. There was a girl driving along And she realized that she was suddenly running. Of gas. She sees a sign for a gas station about 3 miles ahead and breathes a sigh of relief. But when she gets there, she sees it's one of those old, rundown, family-owned gas stations. So it definitely looked a little bit sketchy. She was a little bit scared to go there, but she had no choice. She was out of gas. As she pulls into the parking lot, she sees this old man with a disfigured face walk towards her. He puts the pump into her tank and asks for her credit card. She hands it to him over the top of the window and he runs inside. After a few minutes, he comes back out to her car and tells the girl she'll have to go inside the gas station because her card isn't working. So she's really nervous about this, but she decides to follow As soon as they walk into the door, the old man grabs her and tries to tell her something, but she hits him in the face and runs out towards her car, thinking he's about to abduct her or something. So she jumps in the car and behind her she can see the man doing this, stop, stop. So after a few minutes of driving, she tries to relax, she turns on the radio, and she feels so relieved that she was able to get away from that creepy man. But as she looked in her rearview mirror, she saw someone sitting in the back seat of her car holding an axe, and she realizes that the old man at the gas station was trying to warn her about him. And that's how the story ends, and it's so creepy. And I remember when I was told this story as a kid, the person was like,
And that's why you should always check the backseat of your car.
and literally for 5 years straight, every time I was in the car with my parents, I would always look behind me if I was sitting in the passenger seat. Alright, the next story is called The Hitchhiking Woman. Now there are so many different stories like this, and I think I've really similar to this on my channel before, but it's about this man named Tom who just left all by himself. It was about 12:30 in the morning and it was pouring down rain. He had only driven about 2 miles when he saw this faint figure walking on the side of the road. As he got closer, he realized it was a young lady who was wearing this long white dress. So he pulled over and asked her if she would like a ride. She said she would, and she hopped into the front seat. He noticed that she was shivering, so he took his jacket and asked her to wear. When Tom pulled up to her house, he turned to ask her something, but she was gone. Confused, he thought that maybe she quickly had run into her house without saying goodbye. But the following day, Tom had realized that the girl had left in such a rush that she forgot to give him back his jacket. So he remembered where her house was and drove there, since he did not have a phone number to call her. He knocked on the door and this old woman answered it. Tom told this woman that he was there to pick up his jacket that her daughter had from the night before. Now the woman looked at him strangely and told him that he must have the wrong house. But the man was sure he was at the right house because he had dropped her off there the night before. So he began to describe this girl to the old woman, saying what she looked like, what she was wearing, and the old woman began to shake and cry. She explained that her only daughter died 10 years ago on prom night, and that the man had described her exactly. She said her daughter was buried up the road at Meadowwood Cemetery, and after Tom left this old lady's house, he decided to go and find this girl's grave because he just could not believe it. And when he got there, he saw that there, laying on the girl's gravestone, was his jacket. And that's how the story ends. It's so sad. I feel like this story just isn't like a gave him his key and told him that on the way to his room, there was this door with no number on it that was locked and no one was allowed to go in there. She also said that no one should look inside the room under any circumstances. So obviously he followed the instructions and went to his room and stayed there for the night. Now the next day he was just so curious about what was inside the room that he was not allowed to go to. So he walked down the hall to the door and tried the handle, and sure enough it was locked. So So he decided to bend down and look through the keyhole. Now, it was one of those old doors that had one of those giant keyholes that you could look through. So he bent down and looked through it. And this cold air came through the door. And what he saw inside there was a normal-looking hotel room. But in the corner of the room, he saw this pale, tall woman who was sort of leaning against the wall away from him. So he was unable to see her face. So he stared in confusion for a little while and then decided to go on his way. The next day, still curious, he returned to the same door to look through the keyhole once more. But this time, all he saw was red. He couldn't make anything out besides a distinct red color. So he thought that maybe the people who were in that room saw him spying on them the night before and placed an object in front of the keyhole that had a red color. So at this point, he decided to go down to the front desk to ask the lady about it once more. She sighed and said,
Did you look through the
he had, and she said,
Well, I might as well tell you the story then.
she told him that a long time ago, a woman had died in that room and her ghost still haunts it. But this woman apparently wasn't ordinary. She had very strange features. She was pale all over, except she had these very strange eyes. Her eyes were bright red. And that's how the story ends. So clearly, the second day he went to look through the keyhole, he saw her eye looking back at him right up close, which is so creepy. But yeah, those are all the campfire stories I'm going to be telling you guys today. If you've heard these before, comment down below. And if I missed any good ones, comment those down below as well. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget, if you would like a fairy door necklace, you can go and follow the Whimsy Wonders on Instagram. And if you would like any of the new Christmas stuff we have on our website,
That's so great.
rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Oh god, that's trivia.
Carnivals. There are so many in the world that have been just left there to rot, and they're terrifying. Oh, by the way, if you have not seen my last video, I do have a new background. Moths, butterflies, bugs all over it. It terrifies me. Be subscribed to this channel, so my Jessie V channel, turn on your notification bell, and then head over to my fourth Instagram, which is called The Whimsy Wonders. All you have to do is follow it to be entered to win this contest. Basically, I'm going to be making handmade jewelry from scratch that I will be posting on glittery necklaces. Just on my regular merch website. Black one. I will show you it up.
Oh, that's laggy.
Like this, I'll put the link down below in the description. I'm also
Oh, yeah.
what the heck is underneath my shirt. I'm wearing a heart monitor right now. There's no cause for concern. I'm like totally attached.
Oh, yeah.
Pray for me. Anyways, guys, let's jump right on into this video and talk about some history of carnivals and and amusement parks. In the 1880s, Coney Island was one of the first places to become famous for their amusement parks. It had Steeplechase Park, which featured an array of attractions, and there was also Dreamland Park, which offered dramatic spectacles and entertainment along with rides and thrills. Now, one of the most popular things at these parks were freak shows. I've done a whole video on freak shows if you want to go watch them. People with unusual abilities or abnormal features, and basically people just paid money to go there and stare at them. In 1946, a theme park named Santa Claus Land opened. It was 240 acres of land offering dreamy alpine villages with a shop and rides designed just for children. There was also a kneeling appearance from Santa himself. So this was pretty much the world's first theme park. So that just means like an amusement park with a specific theme, such as Santa Claus. In the 1980s, this park added Halloween and 4th of July as additional holidays. And because they were adding all of these different holidays to Santa Land, they had to change the park's name to Holiday World. The park even added Thanksgiving Park in 2006. I feel like this park reminds me of like Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, the most famous place of all, Disneyland, opened in 1955, and many Americans watched the grand opening on a record-breaking live broadcast. The park drew 1 million visitors during the first 10 weeks.
And that's the end. Bye.